So I did some more research on the phone. Come to find out, I've successfully bricked it. Yes, it starts up. Yes, it does its boot thing, but it is essentially bricked. Completely and utterly. And let me explain. The way an Android phone works is there's the bootloader, and then there's the ROM. Think of the bootloader as a bootstrap. It's when you power on the device first does a system hardware check. If that passes, then it goes to the bootloader. The bootloader then starts up and looks for the ROM. It then loads the ROM then loads this file system, and then you boot to your launcher, and the system apps start. Well, this has a two-phase authentication, with a little added bonus. When the phone turns on, it does a system check. That passes because nothing's broken or modified. Then it goes to the bootloader. The bootloader checks to see if it's been modified. Since this has a locked bootloader, I couldn't modify that. So that passes. Then the bootloader starts the ROM. Oops, the ROM has been modified because I changed out the system files. So what does it do? It fails. Problem is, they also locked Kyocera, locked fast boot. What fast boot does is it basically puts it into a reflash mode so you can reflash the ROM. Since this doesn't exist, then I can't reflash the ROM. Because also, since it's bricked, I can't reflash recovery. If I did reflash recovery, it would go into a boot loop. Because if the recovery didn't pass, then it wouldn't boot the ROM. See where I'm going with this? On top of the fact that the verification keys are stored in the actual cell towers of the server. So for example, the Virgin Mobile one would check against Virgin Mobile keys. The T-Mobile one would check against T-Mobile keys. And I think Verizon had one. The Verizon one would check against Verizon keys. On top of the fact that this is a CDMA phone, not a GSM phone, the IME and ESN are locked to the phone. What am I saying? Basically, it's a paperweight. Because I modified the system software, it'll never be able to boot into it, and I can never replace it. Because it's also locked down so much, I can't reflash it. In order for me to reflash a ROM, you need fast boot. Then once you put it into fast boot, you need to use ADB to connect to it. One catch-22 is that, well, actually I mixed that up a little bit. Two ways you can reflash a ROM. One is using ADB. ADB means you have to have USB debugging enabled and root. Because I did a system reformat, it reset the USB debugging and the root. Even if I was able to boot into the system, I would have still had to turn on USB debugging. Problem is, the phone initializes USB debugging when it fully boots into the ROM. Since it can't boot into the ROM, I can't use USB debugging. Because fast mode is locked, I can't use ADB. So there's no way, short of sending it to Virgin Mobile or Kyocera, to get a new ROM on this. Upside is that I only paid $10 for this. But as for a platform to develop applications and flash ROMs and learn development of Android, it's completely and utterly worthless. Which then leaves the conundrum of what do you now do? If I wanted to get something that I could actually use for development, I'd have to buy probably a Nexus product. Nexus products aren't cheap. The Nexus 6 and 6P are about $500 to $600. The Nexus 6 2014 edition. Whereas the original Nexus ones, which are getting old, are still holding about at $250 to about $300. So I have to do some research and figure out what's the best unlocked, with an unlocked bootloader phone that's cheap enough to get. The only reason why I bought this was because it was $10 and it ran Android. I never really intended on being on going into Android development as of yet. If I was going to go into Android development, which I plan to be, I would have done more research on the phone I would pick. I do have an S5 over here, but that has Knox, which is a whole nother topic, and it's on Verizon, so it's another, product. So I thought, hey, pay-as-you-go contract, cheap, buy it, mess with it. One thing I could try is looking at TrackPhone. TrackPhone might have unlocked bootloaders. Maybe, maybe not. A quick Google search may result in my answer. Because I think that since TrackPhone runs on the... Actually, they switched over. TrackPhone runs both on the AT&T and T-Mobile one for the GSM phones, but for the CDMA phones, which they started with the bring your own device, or bring your own phone, BYOP, they shifted over to the Verizon network. Those only work on the CDMA phones. So let me see. Also, TrackPhone is part of Straight Talk, a Net10, and another one. But yeah, I'm finding on the XDA developers forum that there really isn't much for TrackPhone either. My original plan was to buy a cheap phone and to use it as a semi-burner and testing. So I'd go and sign up for the PTEL Mobile, which uses both CDMA and GSM, and just put in maybe $50 worth of credits, and use that for talk and data, but I'd use that on Wi-Fi, so mostly talking and texting, and kind of use it that way. But since this guy decided to completely and utterly brick, and the fact that you can't port it over to PTEL, sort of blew that. Says, yeah, looks like there's a mixed results, pretty much. So this was planning to be a quick update, but it's almost 8 minutes now, so I'm going to wrap it up now. This has been Zesty Panda with another tech video. If you liked this, thumbs it up. If you didn't, thumbs it down. Leave a comment down below, suggestion, subscribe if you like my content, and I'll see you later.